Hi, it's Marco Catania again, representing Charles Sturt University. We're going to take a closer look at the service portfolio. But before we look at what ITIL has to say about a service portfolio, let's look at dictionary.com and let's look at the terminology portfolio. A portfolio is a flat portable case for carrying loose papers, drawings, etc. Such a case for carrying documents of a government department. The total holdings of the securities, commercial paper, etc. of a financial institution or private investor. Often designers and graphic artists, they often also need a portfolio to showcase their work, to showcase their abilities and to showcase their strengths. So here you've got it, okay? The service portfolio according to ITIL v3. The service portfolio is the complete set of services that are managed by a service provider, typically an IT service provider. The service portfolio is used to manage the entire life cycle of all services and includes three categories or three main components. Services sitting in the pipeline, so they are the services that are either proposed or already in development. Services as part of the service catalog, and they are the live services, all those services are readily available for deployment. And we've got also the retired services, and they are the services that are no longer actively offered to the customers. So the service portfolio has three key parts: the service pipeline, the service catalog, and retired services. Okay, let's take a more graphical view of the service portfolio. Has services proposed or in development. At some stage the sperm cell fertilizes the egg, and that's where life starts to develop, and that's where your new services start to develop. At some stage your services, life needs to see the daylight. That means you're now in your cradle and services are actively being delivered to the customer. After a while, of course, services will retire as well. So you're really following a service through its entire life cycle, all the way from inception to birth to retirement. So also you have to define your transition points, clearly identify and describe your transition points, your interfaces between development and operational environments, and between your operational environment and the environment where services are no longer delivered actively to your customers. We'll talk more about that. But for now, realize it's service portfolio. It's all about planning and managing services from cradle to grave. And I want to emphasize that one because I strongly believe in this statement. So it's keeping an eye on all the services you are working on, you are actively delivering right now, and services you may have delivered in the past. Also realize that the service portfolio and everything it contains is actually part of a larger system known as the Service Knowledge Management System, the SKMS, the Service Knowledge Management System, which is described in another module. Furthermore, realize that all these services, they go through a life cycle, and here you've got examples of statuses they may go through. For example, identifying requirements, defining your service, analyzing your service, approving it, chartering it, designing it, developing it, build, test, release, operational, and finally your service will be retired / disposed of all the hardware and software. So service portfolio gives you a complete overview. It puts you in control of everything you're doing right now. So the service portfolio is a vitally important business and IT tool because it allows you to create an understanding of your own IT infrastructure environment and what you're actually doing. It says here, the service portfolio is a component described as part of Service Portfolio Management, SPM. And SPM is actually a service strategy process. However, the service portfolio also has some very strong interfaces with processes like service catalog management, service level management, and supplier management. And these three processes are actually service design processes. So there's a very tight relationship between a service strategy topic, service portfolio management, and a number of service design topics. They have to work together. Here's another practice what you preach exercise because you want to take theory into action. Objective is to understand your own service portfolio. See if you can find one or more services for each of the following three categories. Services in the pipeline, so services you're actively developing at the moment but not as yet providing to your customers. Services you're actively delivering to your customers, and they're probably the easiest ones to find. And also see if you can find some retired services, so services you may have provided in the past but are no longer providing today. Simple question. Which one of the following service portfolio components describes the services actively delivered to the customer? Answer A, the retired services component. Answer B, the service catalog component. Answer C, services in the pipeline component. And answer D, service portfolio component. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about the answer and then we'll continue. Okay, services being actively delivered to the customer, they end up in your your services catalog. So answer B, the service catalog component, is the correct answer. Next topic, we're going to define and explain the concept of the service catalog into more detail. Hey, for now, live long and prosper, and remember, I'll be back.